friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie. And let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'm taking 2 of these wooden crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take my utility knife and score the 3 seams of this one side. And this is the whole process. I just sped it up, but this is the entire process, and just keep scoring it until it pops off, and then I'll do this to both. And I'm going to take some Waverly Antique Wax and go in with that. And now I'm going to take some Elaine's Tacky Glue and give it a nice few beads of glue and a couple little dots of the hot glue just so it'll secure quickly. So now that I have it nice and secure, I'll take a little baby wipe and wipe off any excess Elaine's Tacky Glue, and this will last a really long time. This is a strong hold here. So now I'm going to go in with some of this Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and with just a regular brush I'm going to do a light dry brushing just to show you that you don't need a chippy brush. I mean, a chippy brush is best, but if you don't have one, a regular brush does work. And just go in with a baby wipe to help wipe off any overage, any areas where you want a little heavy, just to give this a kind of an outdoor look, like it's been in the garden a little bit, until it looks like this. And now I'll take 5 of these glass jars, and these particular jars were from minced garlic, I believe, so I just removed all the labels, give them a good cleaning. And now I'm going to take some regular jute twine and wrap around the rims of these jars and secure it with a little dab of glue. And I'm using my silicone spatula, that way I don't burn my fingers. And I'll do this to all 5 like this. And now I'm going to take my little lighter, and I got this really cute little lighter from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just removing all the fuzzies. Love that part. Now I'm ready to start assembling. So here I'm taking some Spanish moss, getting it ready, but first I'm going to add all my jars. They all fit in there perfectly. And I'm going to stuff some Spanish moss just to keep the jars from moving and to give it a little bit of a fill. And now I'll take some regular floral moss for the color, so we have a variant of color. And I'll also fill inside the jars as well. Now I'm taking these variety of wildflowers, these different colors, and I'm filling them all in like this. And now I'm taking this pack of Twine carrots. They're actually made out of styrofoam and they're wrapped in orange twine. Super cute, from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to add them in different areas to make it look like the carrots are growing because it's springtime. And now I'm taking some of these moss bunnies, and these are from the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm trying to figure out where I want to place them. I place one on each side, and then I end up placing one on the outside. And you'll see that a little bit later. So now I'm taking 2 of these palette signs. These are from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to tack them together with a little bit of hot glue. This is the Gorilla Glue, so it's good glue. And I'm going to place it on the back side of my little planter to make it look like not a trellis, but kind of like a backing. And now I'm going to take a few of these tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to secure them underneath as feet, kind of like to help the whole planter be a little bit raised. So I'll add one on each corner, and I add a couple in the middle just to help to carry the weight of the jars because they are glass. And now I'm looking at my planter and I'm thinking, okay, maybe the natural look on the backing is not what I really want, so I go in with some of the Waverly Antique Wax, just a little bit here and there, just to give it a little bit more depth of color, define the edges. And then I do add some wood letters that say spring. And here's how it looks, and a closer look in the final reveal. For DIY number 2, I'm going to take 2 of these pots from the Dollar Tree. They come in a 2-pack, and I'm going to take some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and I'm going to pour a little bit on my newspaper, and I'm going to grab a baby wipe and keep it close by because I'll need it, because I'm going to dip my fingertips in this paint, and I'm just going to rub all the way around these pots. And I'm going to do the edges and the sides until I get them all done like this. And now I'm going to take 4 of these wooden beads from Amazon, and I'll link them in my description box. And I'm taking 2 large ones and 2 small ones. Don't really know the exact size, just know that 2 are larger and 2 are smaller. And I'm going to utilize these remnant floral stems, wire stems, to use them to help paint my beads. Set that aside. And now I'm going to take 4 of these white chenille sticks or pipe cleaners, and I'm going to take one, and I'm going to take some more beads of various sizes, and I'm going to thread them in a graduated order, so the ends will be larger than the center. When I get to the center, then it'll be the smallest one, and then I'll go back to larger in this manner. And I believe I used about 14 of these wooden beads. And then at the end, take your chenille stem and tie it in a knot and remove the excess. And now we're ready to start building our little basket pot. So I'm going to take my clay pot, and I'm going to add a nice dab of glue and place where the knot is on the chenille stem and secure it with some more glue. Allow that glue to set. Do the same thing to the second one. And while I wait for all that glue to set, I'll take my painted beads, and I'm going to take another chenille stem, and I'm going to fold it in half, and on the open part I'll thread through a small bead and then a larger bead. And so the small bead is going to be the head of a bunny, and the larger bead is going to be the body of the bunny. So now I'm taking the top portion, bending it down in half, and forming 2 little ears. Look how adorable. And this is a great project for the kiddos. Now I'm taking the ends, folding them back, and turning them into like little feet. Look how cute. And then just tying it together in the back. You can use the little back as a bunny tail if you want, but I happen to have some teeny tiny little pom-poms from a pom-pom pack from the Dollar Tree, and they were white, so hey, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna add a nice fluffy little pom-pom bunny tail. And I did this to both. So here's the other one. I'll show it again. Super simple to make, great for the kiddos, wonderful family friendly activity craft. And now that all the glue is nice and secure, I'll repeat the same process on the other side of these pots. So I'll add a dab of glue, and I'll place my chenille knot on that portion, and then cover the knot with a whole bunch of glue because we want this nice and secure and strong. And I'll do this to both pots. Now while we wait for that glue to set, I'm taking this Asani paint marker, and I'm just going to draw the little face for the bunnies, and then I'll use the pink one as well. So now everything's nice and set and ready to go. I'm ready to start assembling. I'm taking some raffia, just the natural raffia, and I'm just going to wrap it around the top of the pot and create a bow and secure it with a little dab of glue to keep the bow in place. And I'll do this to both pots until they look like this. And now I'm ready to start filling up my little basket pots, and so I'm just taking some floral moss and filling them up. And you can use Excelsior, you could use straw, you could use raffia, whatever you like. And now here I'm just taking a few of these little foam Easter eggs to fill up the little pots. So I'll embellish the pots with these Easter eggs, and of course the stars of the show, my little bunnies. So here I'm just adding my little eggs, trying to place them, and look how adorable. So here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 3, I'm taking some regular old jute twine, and I'm taking a couple packs of these little Easter eggs and 4 packs of these really pretty felt floral coasters. So I'm going to remove all the ribbon on it, but I do save it because I will use it. again for this project. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a garland with this, one of those banner garlands. So I'm just going to add a few beads in a graduated manner and tie a knot and create a hanger loop on the end. And I'm just simply going to adhere all these flowers onto the jute twine and alternating the colors in the process. So here I'll begin with this purple one, set it down on the table, place my jute twine, adhere it, and now go to the next color, and I go maybe a couple inches or so in between, and I'll just keep going until I get to the end, and on the end I'll finish it off with some more of the beads in the same manner. That way they'll match on each side, and then I'll create another knot and another loop to hang it on my fireplace. So it's really simple. And now I'm going to start hanging some little eggs in between the flowers. So I'm taking some more jute twine, cutting it maybe a good 3 inches or so, and I'm going to loop it around onto the jute twine and then placing a bead to secure the jute twine in place. And now I'm going to take my Easter egg, and there's a little hole in the bottom, so I'm going to place my jute twine inside and secure it with a little bit of hot glue. And I'll do this to all the eggs, placing the eggs in between each of the flowers. And again, alternating the colors, of course. And look how adorable. Oh my goodness, so cute. So now here are the ribbons that I had left over. Created some tiny little bows to place on my eggs. And this is how it looks on my fireplace. And a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 4, I'm taking 6 of these damaged wood houses that were from an online order, removed all the twine, took my scraper, removed all the glue, and now I'm taking a piece of sandpaper and sanding everything nice and smooth. Now I'm going to go in with my Waverly chalk paint in the color white and give them a good paint. Set them aside to dry, and now I'm taking 3 more of my little houses, and I'm going to go in with the Waverly antique wax and give it a good thick coat like this. And I'm going to go in with a baby wipe and remove all the excess antique wax until they look like this. Now they look good as new. And now I'm just going to paint the squares in white. That way I can add my stickers later on. Set this aside to dry, go back to the white set. And with the brush that I used to paint the antique wax, I'm going to take that same brush with whatever's left on that brush, and I'm just going to dry brush on these little houses just to give them all a little bit of character, go over all the lines and the edges until they look like this. And now I set those aside to dry, and I'll go back to my dark ones and use the same white paintbrush that I used for painting the white houses and doing the same thing, and just using whatever's left on the brush. We'll allow those to dry, and now I'm going to work on these little butterflies that I had painted white from a previous project. And I'm going to take these 6 different colors and mix them each with a little bit of white paint just to tone them down a little bit, make them look a little bit more pastel. And I'm going to go around the edges of these butterflies and a bit of a dry brush on the center of all the butterflies. And look how adorable. They're looking so spring-like. Oh, so cute. And so I just keep working this and keep mixing and painting until I get them all done, until they look like this. Look how cute. So now here's a board that I also had that was painted white, and so now I'm going to use this as my base to hold my little houses. So here I'm going to line them all up, alternating them with the dark and the white. And I'm going to take the darker houses and I'm going to raise them a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of the Elaine's tacky glue, and then I have these tumbling tower blocks that I had painted white already. And I'm just going to put a bead of the Elaine's tacky glue and also a couple beads of the hot glue. And I'm going to place these tumbling tower blocks on the bottoms, and 2 of these tumbling tower blocks fit pretty perfectly. Look at that. It's pretty amazing. So I'll do this to all of the darker houses like this. And now I'm going to take some more of this Elaine's tacky glue and place it on the tumbling tower blocks and some more of the hot glue and placing it where I wanted on the board, and I started adhering the rest of the houses in this manner. And now I can start adhering all my butterflies, and I just place them on the back side until they look like this. And so now I'm going to take some floral moss and I'm going to adhere this floral moss on the roofs of these little houses with some hot glue. And be careful with this part because you can burn yourself, so definitely use your silicone spatula if you need to press it down. And so I did the whole top, and now I'm also doing the base and on both sides because this is a double-sided decor piece. So right here is looking a little bit crazy. But now I'm going to take my detail scissors and give it all a nice trim, clean it all up, and look how cute. So now I'm going to take these sticko stickers, and I got these from the Dollar Tree. And there's a variant of sizes, so I'm taking the larger ones and spelling the word Easter on the front side with all the squares and all the circles. And I'll turn it around, and on the side with all the butterflies, I'll spell out the word spring. And now I just need to add my florals, and so I'm going to go in with these really pretty wildflowers in these beautiful colors, and I'll place them in between all the houses, and then I'll just do white flowers for the Easter side until they look like this. Here's the spring side, and here's the Easter side, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 5, I'm going to take 4 of these thick wood round hanging decor pieces from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to fill in all the holes with some of this wood filler, and then I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper and sand off all the excess, and then I'll go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, give them a full paint job, and then I went in with some of the Waverly antique wax and my chunky chippy brush, and I'm just going to distress these wood rounds, and I'll go all the way around each of them and on the tops and on the bottoms. And then I found these ceramic eggs at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, give them a full coat. And these eggs have like a raised section, so I'm going to accentuate it with a little bit of the antique wax and my chunky chippy brush. So I'm going to go along those lines and just do a light distressing and bring out all that raised decor. It's so pretty. And I use a baby wipe if I go a little bit too heavy, and I'll do this to all 5 of my eggs. So now I'm ready to start building my candle holders, and I'm going to use some hot glue and some of this Fix All glue from the Dollar Tree. It's very similar to E6000, so I'll add some Fix All, and I'll add a little bit of the hot glue and place it down on one of my wood rounds, and then I'll start stacking. I'll do the same thing, add some Fix All, add some hot glue, and place this one on top of my bottom egg. And while the glue sets, I'll repeat the same process on the second candle holder with a set of 3 eggs. And then I'll top them off with the top wood round in the same manner until they look like this. And here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 6, I'm going to start with 2 of these ceramic little bunnies. They are so adorable. Remove the little hanger piece, I don't need it. And I'll go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color white. And then I'm going to take this Asani pink marker and draw them a sweet little mouth and nose, make them look really cute. And now I'm taking some of these high cloche domes, but I ended up just using the one and removing all the labels on them. And I want to give the base a little bit of a mossy look, so I'm taking the remnants of this moss sheet and marking off how much I need to create a circle. And I end up doing like 2 half circles and then adhere them onto the base like this with a little bit of glue, and it makes a perfect little circle. And then I make sure that it's going to still close, which it does, which is perfect. And now I'm going to go in with one of these moss balls. These are the bigger ones, but these are way too big, and so you'll see here in a minute where I remove it and replace it. So here I'm going to add my little bunny, and I'll put it on the base on the bottom in front of the moss ball. And here's where I configure it. Well, it's a little bit too big, let me remove it. So here I'm taking a smaller one and I'm placing that down instead, And then I'm taking my other little bunny and adhering that to the top of the smaller moss ball. And I'm just going to take one of these cute little foam Easter eggs. This little green one is really light and I like the color. Got a little bit too much glitter, so I'm trying to remove some of it. And then I actually do a little bit of dry brushing of some white paint as well. Just trying to tone down that glitter. Don't really want it too glittery. And then I just keep working it until I get it the way I want it. Here's some more baby wipe action. And here I'm just going to adhere it to the front of one of the little bunnies. Like he's keeping it. Look how cute. So adorable. And now I'm going to go in with one of these really cute garland lights. And this one is battery operated from the Dollar Tree. And look at the leaves. Oh my goodness, I just love it. So I make sure to add some batteries because it doesn't come with batteries. Make sure it turns on and lights up. And now I'm going to go in with some of these beautiful little florals, these little picks. I'm just cutting little pieces that I want here and there. I don't want too many florals, just a couple little bits and pieces here and there just to make it look really cute. Look at this. Oh my goodness, it's so cute. It's totally giving me little Thumper vibes, you know, Thumper from Bambi. So now I'm wrapping the lights on the inside one time, closing the cloche dome, and wrapping the rest of the lights on the outside. And here's how it looks in the closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 7, I am taking one of these foam bunnies. This is the larger size, and some of these smaller bunnies. And I'm going to cover them all up with some spackle, going a thorough full coat of spackle until they all dried up and look like this, nice and hard. And then I'm going to go in with some of this Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant and give them all a full coat. And with the Waverly chalk paint in the color White, I'm just going to do a light brushing with my chippy brush. And look at this, they look like stone bunnies. And here's how they look and the closer look at the final reveal. DIY number 8, I am taking another one of these large craft foam bunnies and some of these foam Easter eggs. And so I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle and turn them into chocolate. Look at this. Truffle chocolate, yes. And here I'm taking this metal bucket from the Dollar Tree and some Spanish moss, placing everything inside, trying to figure out the placement that I want all these eggs to fit. And they all fit pretty nicely. And now that I kind of figured out my placement, I'm going to go in with this lacy ribbon. It's like a beige lacy ribbon. And I love this color combination. This combination of this dark chocolate looking color, the truffle, and this pretty beige lacy ribbon. So I'm just going to cut off enough ribbon to go around the eggs and then put a bow on the bunny, and that is it. Look how adorable. They look so delicious. And look at this. Oh my goodness. And here's how they look and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIYs number 9 and number 10, I'm doing them simultaneously. And I'll begin with one of these wooden trays from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to go in with the Waverly Antique Wax and give it a full coat. And now I'm taking a paper towel and just wiping off the excess and setting it aside, allow it to dry. And now I'm going to take one of these arch windows, and with the brush that I used to paint the little box, I'm using the remainder of whatever on that brush and kind of coating it with the antique wax and making sure to get into all the little cracks and crevices. There's like some little detail on there, there's some texture. And I'll wipe off the excess antique wax and allow that to dry. And now I'll get started with DIY number 10, and this is just a canvas frame that I wasn't going to use. And I'm going in with some wood filler to fill in all the cracks and sanding it down. And I'm going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color White and just do a light brushing just to make it look rustic. Allow that to dry. Going back to my box and using that same brush with the white paint and giving the tray a little distressing. So see, these two are going to be simultaneously DIY'd. So here I'm just going to keep working on it and get it to look the way I want it. I don't do the inside of the tray because I'll be doing something else. And so now I'm doing the arch window as well, just a little bit of paint, real light paint. And you'll see in the final reveal what this effect does. It makes it look so pretty. And now I'm going to go in with some of these plastic Easter eggs. They're kind of doubled, so I'm just going to use the clear outer egg. And I'm going to take my detail scissors and create little peaks and cut them out to make them look like a cracked egg. So now I'm going to take this moss sheet, kind of size it, fit it inside my tray, and take some hot glue and place this arch window inside. Look at that, it fits perfectly. And now I'm going to take 3 of these clear eggs and adhere them to the moss sheet and fill them all up with some of these tiny rocks from the Dollar Tree, just a small handful for each. And I'll add a tiny little bit of the floral moss inside, and taking these succulents and placing them inside as well. And now I'll go in with a few of these little moss bunnies and adhere them different places here and there. And I'll also add a few little lilacs here and there and call this DIY complete. Going back to DIY number 10, here are some more lilacs, and I'll remove these from the pick, and I'm going to create a wreath of lilacs. So I'm also going to use the remaining pieces of these wildflower greenery to also help form my wreath. And so I'm going to take these and use a little bit of hot glue and adhere these end to end to create a round wreath. And at first it's not going to look like a wreath, but stick with me. It'll be a wreath, I promise. So here, as I'm working it, I'm going to add my lilacs to them. And here I only showed that I used 1 pick, but in the end I ended up using 2 full picks to make this wreath very full. So here is my little wreath, which is not full yet. I'm working on it still. And I'm going to place it where I think I want it, in the center of this frame. And I'll tie some jute twine to the wreath, and so that way I can hang it on the frame like this. And now I'll secure the wreath with a few little bits of hot glue here and there, and add the extra lilacs to make the wreath more full. And here I'm going to adhere these metal words on the frame, and this one is happy, and then the bottom one is going to be Easter. And I use hot glue because I couldn't find my super glue, so later on I did go in with the super glue because we know that the hot glue is not very long lasting. So now I'm taking these tumbling tower blocks and I'm going to use them for the bottom as stands, and put one in the center in a horizontal position. And here's DIY number 9, and here's DIY number 10, and a closer look at the final reveal. DIY number 11, I'm going to take these 2 very glittery foam pieces and go in with my sandpaper, sand off as much glitter as I can. And now I'm going to take some jute twine and twine these up. Go sit down, watch a movie, and take my time until they look like this. So now I'm going to place these together. The egg is going to be the body to the little bunny, and I'm taking some of this wired jute twine or jute cord, and I'm going to tie the center together. That way they're nice and secure. And I'm going to take some of this berry garland. This one's from Valentine's. It's the white pearly iridescent one. And I'm just going to wrap this around the bunny head and the body and go all the way around until it looks like this. Now I'm going to take some more of the jute cord and add another piece just to make it nice and secure, because it was a little bit too wobbly. So now it's nice and secure. And now I'm going to take some of this burlap lace ribbon, which is so beautiful. And I'm just going to make a quick little bow, like a bow tie, and adhering it to the little bunny's neck. Oh my goodness, look how adorable. And now I'm just going to go in with some of these really pretty wildflowers, cut them down, and I'll just stick them through the jute twine into the foam, because this is foam. And that is it. Look how adorable. Here's how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 12, I am taking these really cute bags from the Dollar Tree. They're different prints. There's 4 different ones. They come 2 in a pack, and I'm going to open them up and cut them open and remove anything I don't need. I don't need that bottom piece. I don't need this top piece. So I'll just peel this top piece off, the handles, and there's like an extra paper piece there. And then I'll snip off the very bottom because it's very creased. And now I have 4 adorable patterns that I can use as scrapbooking paper. Look how cute. So now I'll just set those aside, and now I'll take 6 of these little house frames, and I'll take each one and trace the form to the paper and cut them down. And I'll do this to all 6 of the little houses. and I'll just adhere them with just a glue stick, a simple old glue stick, until I get them all done. And thankfully I happen to have 2 of each size, so that's going to be really cute. So now I'm going to go in with some of this Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to highlight the edges of the little houses. And I'm going to go in with some of these wood shapes. I'm going to use 2 of the Easter eggs and 4 of the little bunnies. And first I'll go in with some of this wood filler to fill in all the little holes, and some sandpaper to smoothen them out. Then I'll just give them a light coat of the antique wax. And now I'm going to go in with some of this really pretty ribbon, this lacy ribbon. I'm going to cut out enough to make bows for the little bunnies. And I'll use some of the macrame looking burlap ribbon to embellish the little eggs. Look how adorable. So now all I have to do is adhere everything onto these wood pieces. And so I'll do the eggs first, just do a line of glue, and then place these on there. Look how cute. And then snip off the excess and adhere the bows to the bunnies. Now I'm ready to start assembling everything. So here I'm lining up all the houses in the order I want them, and I'll just start adhering all the little eggs and bunnies onto the fronts of the houses. Look how all the houses have different prints. So cute. So now I'm going to adhere all the houses together in this manner, and I'll go in with some of this greenery bouquet and some ferns, and this is how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 13, I'm going to use these 2 ceramic blocks, and I'm going to adhere them together with some of this Fix-All, which is like E6000, and some Gorilla Hot Glue. And I'm going to stand them up upside down, and I'm taking one of these arch windows and securing it to the top, or should I say the bottoms of these blocks. And now I'm turning it around and securing all the back seams as well with some hot glue. So now I'm going to take one of these lighted garlands, these LED lights, and I'm going to secure the battery pack on the back, and I'm just going to go around the arch window and thread it around like this until I get to the very bottom, and then I'll secure it in the back. And now I'll turn it over to the front, and I'm going to utilize those holes to help hold all my florals like a vase. So I'm going to use these really pretty yellow mini roses from the Dollar Tree and these Billy Button florals from Walmart. And I try to get it as full as I can. So whatever is showing, I'm just going to use some of these pebbles and these little rocks to help embellish the front. And then all I do is add a nice wide ribbon and bow to the very front. And here's how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 14, I am taking 2 of these MDF truck signs. This first one is a thin one from the Dollar Tree, and the second one is a thicker one from Dollar General. So I'm going to begin with the thinner one and taking my scraper and removing this plaque that says Hello Spring, but we will be using it again. And then for the thicker one, it took a little bit more finagling, but I was able to remove the little Easter egg with the Easter bunny booty. And now I'm going to go in with my utility knife and score the top off the bottom piece, and I'll use a ruler for the back portion, and I'll just keep scoring it until it pops off. I won't be using the top piece for this DIY. Now I'm taking my sandpaper to sand everything nice and smooth, and I'm taking one of these wooden crates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take this really pretty blue from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to mix it with some of the Folk Art light blue because I want to create a specific blue color. So I'll mix them up with my brush, and I'll paint this crate with it, and I'll go in with the rest of the pieces as well with the same blue. Now here I'm realizing that the tail lights were raised. I didn't realize that, so I'm going to pop those off, as well as the license plate. So definitely got to pop that off, and then I'll use these pieces again later on for this DIY. So now I'll just continue to paint everything until they look like this, and now I'm ready to start assembling. So I'll add some hot glue and place my crate on the thinner piece of this MDF board, and then add the thicker piece onto the other side of the crate. Now I'll add my Hello Spring back on to the back of the truck, and I'll add my license plate to the bottom. So now we're using all the best of both worlds. And now the tail lights as well. And of course the little bunny booty with the Easter egg. Definitely got to add that, but I realized here I didn't paint this portion, so I had to go back and paint those. Give it a full coat, and once that's dry, then now I'll add the cute little bunny booty and the Easter egg. Look how cute. Put those in place, and now all I have to do is add all my florals. And for my florals, I'll go in with some of these beautiful variety of florals, some of these wildflowers, and these greenery bouquet and hydrangeas. And here's how it looks, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 15, I'm going to take one of these little wooden trucks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle, give it a full coat, and paint the wheels black. And now I'm going to take 2 of these carrot wooden cutouts, and I'm going to use my glue stick and just glue on some scrapbooking paper, these little pieces that I happen to have in my stash, some green pattern for the tops, and some orange pattern for the carrot themselves. And I do this to both sides of both carrots. And now using my detail scissors, I will snip off the excess paper. And now using a nail file, I will sand off the remainder of the paper. And I do this to both carrots until they look like this. Now I'm taking these two jute twines. They come in a spool. One is a green, one is a orange, and I'll wrap them around the carrots and give them a nice little knot. And I do this to both carrots. And then once I get that done, I'll take both carrots and I'll place them on the back of the truck in this manner. One here and one on the opposite side. And that is it for this one. Super cute. And this is how it looks. And a closer look at the final reveal. And now we're at the final reveal. Let me know what you guys think. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong, and have a great day. Bye-bye.